Today I want to talk to you about the waiting game based on 1 Samuel 16. Now David is anointed by Samuel to be the next king of Israel. In fact, scripture says that the Spirit of the Lord came mightily upon him and immediately left Saul. Now here's the interesting part. David did not become king immediately, as most of you know, but roughly over 20 years later is when David finally sat on the throne. And not that he didn't have many opportunities to reign sooner. I mean, he was close enough to King Saul to have done away with him, considering King Saul was trying to kill him. But David waited. The story of David is hands down my favorite story in the Bible, because the man who waited was also a humble man who, as you know, worked for the king in his palace. He used to play his harp for him. So David first served before he ever ruled, which for me is a grand lesson to anyone who wants to get into leadership. We first must serve. So listen, God will give you a vision that will seem impossible. In fact, the people closest to you will laugh at you or try to bring you down or even talk you out of it, like David and his brothers or Joseph and his brothers, because they just don't get it, and neither do you. We are all so undeserving of the great promise, and even ask God, are you sure you want to use me to do this, like Moses? But that's when God gets excited, because that is when his power and might is made strongest. When we are weak, he can do great and mighty things with someone who doesn't need him, someone who's got it all together. But when you feel inadequate for the task ahead, that is when you absolutely must say yes. That is an indication to go for it, because it's not about you at all. Imagine. It really isn't. But what God can do through you and in your life. And so many of us are called to be used by God, but we keep running away out of fear, out of self-doubt, unbelief, and end up missing on the promise that God has for you. But like David, who waited almost 20 years, or Moses over 40 years, and still didn't get to the promised land, but he definitely fulfilled his purpose. Will you still say yes when God calls you? Or will you laugh like Sarah at the thought of having a baby at 90 plus? You see, God has to prepare you for the promise. He must. You can't jump from intern to CEO overnight. Though if you do, hey, more power to you. But you must submit to the process, respect it. And my daily prayer is, Lord, your will and not mine be done. The key is to die to self each and every day to be able to get to the promise. Let go of trying to do it your way and say, you know what, God, steer this ship, guide my steps, and lead my path. Once you accept the purpose that he had for you even before you were in your mother's womb and let him run ship, is when you have officially began living your life. At least to me, that's what I think. May you experience his blessings that add no sorrow today and forevermore. Goodbye.